now we're outside, and here is a red maple, which has been growing here for quite a while, probably well over 100 years. And then an offshoot from its root system, which has probably been growing here for 40 years. And you can see how as it matures, the bark becomes slightly rough, but not in shreds, just slightly rough. And as you look at the tree, if you can look up into the tree, you can see the flower buds just about ready to open once spring comes, probably in a month. This is the easiest way to find a red maple in your woods, is to look up and look for the clusters of flower buds distributed amongst the branches. So red maple are common in the eastern shore of Nova Scotia, and often, although this is a very big one, you'll find these in most pieces of woods, and they make adequate quantity of sap. You might get 10 to 15 gallons of sap from each spile through the course of the season. So when you're trying to choose the spot on the tree that you're going to tap, there are a few things to consider. In addition to being far away from a place where you previously tapped the tree, one is you want to look for a healthy part of the tree, but another is that you're probably going to have a greater sap run on the sunny side of the tree, because on a sunny day, that side of the tree is going to warm up more, and so you're going to have more pressure buildup and more sap running out on the sunny side, probably the south side of the tree, than on the north side. When we put a tap into the tree, we do try to be aware of where the tree was tapped in the previous year or the previous few years. And so we want to be 6 inches away sideways from a previous hole, and maybe a foot up and down. So you there's kind of an oval area around last year's hole that we try to avoid in the coming year or two, in order to give the tree a chance to sort of repair its vascular tissue in that area. So we've used this tree for a lot of demonstrations over the last 10 years. So it has a lot of holes in various stages of self-repair. But you can see, if you look in some of these holes, that how they are filling in from the inner bark. So it takes a couple of years, but eventually it's plugged up on the outside, and eventually that entire cavity will be filled with new wood. And sometimes you see lumber wood that's cut, and it actually has the filled cavities filled with wood where the tree had been tapped over various other years. But there's no sign of infection in these old tap holes, so they're just taking their time to recover. So I'm going to put this year's tap into this section of the tree here. I will angle so it's slightly up, maybe 10 to 15 degrees, so that when the cavity fills with water, gravity will pull the sap down out of the spile. Before I tap the tree though, I want to sanitize it. So I'll dip the bit in my peroxide and just dry it off a little. Then I'll go ahead and I'll drill that hole. Take off some of that wood. Try it again. So I'm drilling my hole up to the mark that I put on the tree, which in this case is 2.5 inches. Then I'll run that bit in and out of the hole a few times to try to get as much of the sawdust out as I can. And then we'll take our spile and we'll put it into the tree so that the hole in the spile is facing downward. Tap that in until it's secure. And see, there's a couple of drips coming off there. Not as much as we'd like to see, but a little bit. If it was a sunny day, it would warm the wood up more, and we'd see more drips coming. But there's a few. You can see it's starting to drip. There is a wire here. Then we'll put the cap over there, catch the cap, and that will keep the rain from diluting our sap. So that will sit there, and hopefully by later this afternoon there will be a gallon of sap in there. On a warmer, sunny day, you get a lot more sap than on a colder day. That's all there is to it. You just put a hole in the tree, and put the spile on, and put the cap on, and then come back and collect your sap every day or two for the next 4 weeks until you have enough to boil down. So a couple of things to watch for when you're tapping into the tree. One is to look at your sawdust that you're pulling out and make sure that it looks nice and healthy and light in color. And that means you're into a healthy part of the tree. If you run into wood that is spongy or dark, it means you're into a part of the tree that has some internal rot, and that can can give you a bad flavor in your syrup. So you want to make sure that the sapwood that you're digging into is really fresh looking and light in color.